Welcome, my Zentangle friends. My name is Emmy, and you're on the Zen with Emmy channel. I'm real excited to be here with you today to share a new Through the Porthole, week number 2. Happy Sunday, or whenever you're doing this. So we're working today on movement and flow as we look through into our magical world below the sea, or the ocean, or whatever lake you happen to be on. I've grabbed all my supplies, of course, and my trusty mint because I will need my little porthole sometime. I'm setting this up with a helix because that works best for me. The first thing I do is I mark off my 5.5 inches, and then I mark off using this to go around for my inside 2.5 inches. And then I want to mark off my middle. I'm going to mark off this at north. I'm going to use the ruler portion to mark off here and here. And then I'm also going to mark off north, south, east, and west. And I have to hold this middle to keep this thing flat the way I want it, so that I can put my outside fun things that we're going to do in our porthole today. Later on, I can use these, any of these, for my screws, but I don't want to do that yet. So let's get started, and I bet you'd like to see where we're going. We're going to a place that's very similar like this, and today we're going to see a treasure chest, a school of fish, and some other patterns too, and the waves are very choppy today. So, and it's very Art Deco, don't you think? So let's get started. Let's talk about our patterns. These are the patterns we're pretty much doing. We're going to do a couple scatter patterns too. Buen Camino, I need to have a bigger space than this for you, so I've grabbed myself a piece of paper. I'm going to start with a smallish prawn top like that. We'll be using that a couple times today. I'm going to come out here maybe even a whole inch and make a wavy line that kind of goes around that prawn top. The next thing I'm going to do is use these humps. I'm going to start tight here at the bottom and make a giant flux like that. I'm going to do that in this hump too. Out, back in, same thing here. I only have a half a hump, it'll still work. Flux and one over here. The way this pattern is designed is it's designed for you to mentally divide this into thirds. At about 1/3, I'm going to put a prawn top, and I'm kind of making it kind of flat like, because I really want to have a space between this top and bottom. And what I'm going to do with that is put a couple of lines in there. I hope you can see that. Let's just say here's your flux. I'm going to put the prawn top in here, and then a couple of lines for the flux, above the flux. Below it, I am just going to shade that in. What's cool here is I'm going to use this, the area between, and make a very interesting series of sticks. And I always think that looks really, really cool. Hopefully you could see that well enough. There you go. That's better. Okay, so the next one I want to do is called kelp, because our fish need to eat something, right? Haha. So all that is it's a long stick, and then I'm going to make a series of small, like tiny fluxes, if you want to call them that, seeds off of here. And the last one is very complicated. It is called sea wave, but it's not very complicated. That's not fair. Okay, but again, I'm going to use a bigger card so that you can see it easier. I start with a wavy line, big S. I'm going to make another one close to it, but it can be a little different. Different is good, always. Inside here, I'm going to put a line, wavy line, that just follows back and forth. I'm going to follow this line within. Watch. I'm going to go tight here like it's a tethered line and back down. So it's an aura. Tight and back down. Tight, back down, tight, back down. And then I'm going to start at the other end. Either side, doesn't matter. For me, it's easier to turn my work now. I'm going to follow the line. But I'm going to end up with the darkness here. My pen line is going to make this get darker and darker as we go. There. And so on. Now what I'm going to do though, what's tricky, not really tricky, is when I get to here, I'm going to come back down. See how the pen is allowing this to, it will have the illusion of waves because of, and different waves because of the dark pen lines that I'm using here. And then of course I can accentuate that too, like that. Just add a little more darkening pen along there. So that's what we're going to do. And if we want to, we're going to add some printemps in here. Like for instance here, I might decide to add a printemps. Like it's a sea creature that's along in the waves, all being tossed up, of course, because of the waves being so rough in my mind. Okay, so I'm going to start here, bring this down, and back up. The only difference is when I get here, I'm going to have to lift my pen. Tight, back up, tight, and back up, back up, and again, and out the other side. And now I've created this new thing here in the wave. And I'm going to do that in the waves that we're going to create today. And I'm going to try to make this not, well, it could be straight. Let's just see how it goes. When we work, sometimes things get to be different, and that's healthy. Okay, so I better get this back out a little bit. There. Alrighty, working in pencil. Grab your pencil, and do you want to have your waves go a little higher, or do you want to have them go a little lower through the porthole? I don't know. All I know is this is a rough sea today. Mine is going lower, and remember always your pencil line is made to be incorporated into your work, or it will just disappear, and it will disappear. Remember this one, the lower one is going to be a little different. We can easily add to the top or the bottom of this, and then remember what we're going to do here. We're going to start at the bottom, up and down. Easy to lift your pencil and go back down and work with these lines, and they're made to be changed. So I want to add a couple of things into this pattern, this drawing, before I go ahead and ink anything in. I want to add that cool treasure chest. I'm going to start, here's my center. I'm going to start below my center with my first line. And then I'm gonna, it's kind of, at this point, it's like a box. You can make it wider or narrower, it doesn't matter. From here, I'm gonna make that a curve, a wide smile, up on an angle. I'm gonna make the second one off of here on that same angle like that was. So this corner, angle. Connect the top, and then down here. I hope you like that. I hope it worked out well for you. Let's go ahead and put a band between the top and the bottom of the box. And then let's do another one. And you see how I have to make this line on an angle so that it'll work out for us. How cool is this? I love it. Okay, so now I'm gonna lay out my Buen Camino right down in here. And I wanna add a little bit of ground. So I'm gonna make these stones. Do you see how I'm just making some stones in pencil in here? This is for that El Camino to lay, or Buen Camino, I keep calling that. Buen Camino means good. Not sure what Camino means. I know a Camino is a kind of horse, but I doubt that's what it means. Okay, so I'm gonna nestle in that sweet little pattern Buen Camino. So I'm gonna nestle in that printemps right in here. And it doesn't have to be centered. I mean, centered is almost a little weird. And then I'm gonna come out here like I did before, almost an inch. Like I said to you, this turns out different every time. Let's do another one over here. Remember, we're going over pencil, and that's made to be changed. This Buen Camino is gonna have to go behind here. You might, in your mind's eye, have this being a little smaller, and that's okay too. Okay, I think we can work with pen from here. I do want to, before I get any further, I'm gonna put that kelp down here. Again, I'm thinking that it is movement. I'm thinking that the whole thing is moving across, like things would in the sea, right? There's not this much violence below the sea, but there is certainly some current. Okay, grab your pen and let's get started doing some inking in and some drawing. I know you're excited. I am too. Okay, let's start with this fun pattern here, and before I get going too far, let's start by aura. Your first line, tight, aura, and then loose. Sometimes quite tethered, quite tight. It will be fine. Just trying to create a sensation of movement. Relax. Loosen your pen. Are you ready to add a printemps in here, a little thing below the sea? And I can make that go out a little so you can see what I'm doing a little better. Okay, so I'm gonna come along here like this time. Follow along and back up. Tight and tight at the other end. Lift your pen when you get to that printemps, a little sea creature feature. Ooh, is this cool? You might want to add another one nearby the first one. Doesn't matter, your choice, of course. Although you know I love it when you show me what you're working on. Definitely, if I make a few of these waves go down a little more or up a little more, I'll be happy with that. But I do sense a turbulence in here. I can easily make this go a little higher. Ooh, this one needs a higher thing too, don't you? There, there's still big swells. Now, while I'm up here, I would like to add a little bit of fun, some seagulls to this. So the seagulls are going to look like this. It's an S with a bit of a hook, and then another hook and out. It doesn't matter if one side's bigger than the other. That's a seagull, right? So let's put a couple of those in, and maybe they're not straight and maybe they are. Here's my example of my seagulls. So just start low, go high, again and again. Turn your work so that your seagulls look a little different. And it's fun to allow them to have some different sizes too. Okay, so let's get going on that Buen Camino pattern. I like it so well. I wanted that nestled right in there. So I want to do that before I ink in the stones I have down below. My crescent, or my flux rather. And that one is hidden. Now take a minute and do your printemps in kind of a long look to it so that you can add a couple of smiles or frowns at the top, whatever you prefer to call them. Has the illusion of it just keeps going, right? I think so too. And you see I'm turning my work a whole bunch to keep my work in front of me. Nice. So now we're going to follow along with that original pencil line and just do an aura all the way down. It kind of, as you can tell, kind of darkens on the two edges. I'm going to let my pen do that so that that is a little darker there. Do it again. Out and in. A little bit of darkening. Cool. I love those stripes. And this one could just, I don't know. I might just put the stones a little higher there. This one is on an angle, so I'm going to let it be a little flatter. Flux. Again. That goes behind the stones. And that kind of does too. These will be quite small on mine. Maybe not on yours. These do make me think of a creature that could be in the lake or the ocean or the sea. There, here's that last one. Nice. Aren't they cool? I think they're so neat. Okay, time to ink in our treasure chest. Keep in mind that it is weathered down there below the sea. So the lines should be a little bit blurred and wonky. That makes sense to me. So I'm gonna have some, whoops, I better continue that one up there, huh? So I wanna have a lock here. There should be a lock on a treasure chest, right? Don't go here. But above it, I'm going to put some ornate orbs. I'm going to nestle them right along. I always like to start at the center with my orbs because they might get off-centered by the time I get to the outside edge. Like that isn't going to be a complete one. It would make sense that these are going to have a little bit, they're going into the distance, so you're not going to be as obvious as the ones up front here. That's my thinking anyway. So I think it's a good idea to put a black band, you know, like they do a metal band on a chest. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that behind area. See, it's just touching in some areas. There isn't much showing at all. There you go. How fun is this? It's so cool. Okay, let's stop admiring, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ink in those stones that I made. Time to hold my work out and see how it looks. What have I got here? Isn't this fun? There, it's nestled right on the stones. That was what I'd hoped for. That must have gone around like that. That must have been my intention there. Okay. Here's the end of that one there. There. Okay, I have room for 1 or 2 of these fish. So when I have a school of fish going through the kelp, of course they're going to want to eat it. You might have, all it is a big U, and then here's a bigger one who wants to eat that kelp out there. Put a frown or a smile here. Dot for the eye. That's kind of on-the-job training there. And then let's put something that I think looks a little like scales. Put a long line through on each of them, a long line. Definitely an artist conception. And then on an angle, and this one is kind of going to go straighter. Just so that it's different than the other one. And then darken with your pen on either side of these sweet little creatures here, creature features. So we've got a few of these swimming through the kelp. This is you see, I'm just letting my pen kind of flow because the current is pulling the kelp there. And then add those little nodules. So the last thing I want to do here on this pattern is I want to add something called fans. This is how the fans go. It's just like this. It's a big V with a line through it and a couple more lines through it at any distance or length you want. I think fans is from Suzanne McNeil, but I will have to look that up. So I'm going to add a few fans in here, with the idea that the thick area is the mouth of the fan. I don't know what kind of critter you want to call them. Fun, how about that? And the dots out, that can kind of be their tail. Let's have a look. Isn't this fun? All right, I don't know if you feel you need a band or two on here like I did. Like I did on here, if you want. That is a very fun thing to add in. And I'm gonna do the outside edge of our fun thing now, the very Art Deco. I'm gonna work in front of me and I'm gonna make a straight line down. And then I'm gonna make one off each side like a V, like the fan, it replicates that, and that's my whole point. And then two more. Flop around to the other side. I know I already marked these a bit ago, north, south, east, west. I'm gonna put on the diagonal, I'm gonna put 3 lines. Again, it's very Art Deco, I think. So this boat that the porthole is in is an Art Deco boat. Let's pretend, right? So you can use your helix to put your screws in or whatever you like, but I'm just going to try to center each one to itself. And then I'm going to go ahead and darken one area. They'll be round, but not perfectly round because these have had some weather and some use. Oh my goodness, this is so fun and so really cool. So I need to add a little flow in here. So where this is coming down, I'm gonna let it branch off like it is part of this, you know, because the current wouldn't stay in a line like this. It's certainly, as you know, as you get a little bit below the sea, the current does definitely slow down under there. But there would be, it would continue to offer some pretty big current down, way, way down, which is the fluidity we're looking for. Okay, grab that trusty eraser if you happen to have it handy, because I want to either erase or incorporate any of the pencil lines into my shading. And I don't see many others. I'm just gonna work with them. Alrighty, time to get my trusty pencil out. And I want to shade in each of these like this, just a smile in the corner. I want to get a little shading in here. There will be plenty of shade from my blender stump, so I'm not worried about these stones down below. I want to get a little shade at the end of the fans. And a little shade on here on where this current is. Put a little bit in here if you like, although you've got plenty with your pencil or with your pen already, so I wouldn't be overly concerned with this one here, with these. Now the big shading, really, really big shading, I think, is around the inside edge. It's a really thick band of shade that I'm going to put on here. Graphite is what I'm calling it at this point. And if I lay my pencil pretty much on its side, as you can see, I am able to get a really thick line. This is going to help me with the illusion of it being rounded, of this porthole. It is not a flat thing, it is a rounded thing. Oh good, I'm glad I finished here. I want this fish to be rounded too. So the top and the bottom of the fish is going to have some shading so that it goes round too. Okay, more shading. I want to do shading at the inside of the porthole. all the way around. I'm also going to shade on the outside edge of this cool treatment that we have here. Want the inside to look shaded on this. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Grab your blender stump. If you don't have a blender stump, grab a Q-tip. Your finger will work too, whatever you have handy. And we're just gonna smudge wherever we have laid graphite on. Pretty soon we'll have enough graphite that we don't even need to, like for instance, I'm good with just working this in very lightly here. If I forgot to put graphite on, there's plenty on my blender stump. And then I want to add quite a bit, put quite a bit on here and push it in, working round so that it pushes all the way in, and that's my way of getting an illusion of this being rounded. It's really gonna be cool. I just am always so excited about shading. I think you probably are too. So I want that porthole to be very, very dark right there at the edge like it is, and then be lighter as it gets inward till it fades completely away in the white here. So I can always add more graphite if I need to, and I can take it away if I need to with this. Remember, you probably have a mono 0 at home. It's just a tiny little spot eraser, because I feel like I want that to be white there, not quite so gray. And then I like to use kind of a, well, I can use whatever, but I don't want to use my finger. I want to use something that's going to get those little divots off very carefully like that. There, then I can still see what I have. So all I used was a pencil or a brush. Okay, I also put graphite on the outside of this porthole, well, the porthole side, because I want that to look rounded in, pushed in both sides. Shout out to my sister, Mary, who has been so supportive. And I know she's watching today. She watches and works all the videos that I do. And my friend Melinda and her husband Dave for watching and supporting me. I appreciate it very much, everybody. I appreciate your support. I'm very, very grateful. This is just a fun journey. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. So I hope you like how yours has turned out. It's time to admire. And then it's also time to put our signature on, which I already did. And when you're done with that, if you want, be sure to take a picture of this if you think you might want to do it again, or it's better yet to take a you know, like instead of a photo of it, to make a copy of it. Then you've got your original. And when we get to color tomorrow, it will be lots of fun to add that in. And if you don't like the colors, you can easily redo it. So thank you again so much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow, many of you. And we have our last summer short on Wednesday already. Oh my goodness, the summer's winding down and it feels like we just started. Anyway, so it's time for the mint, right? And hope you had some magic with me today. And I will see you one way or another very soon for week 3 of our Through the Porthole, or Wednesday, or tomorrow for color. Bye.